What is the best first handgun? Now, if you were like me about 7 years ago, you were asking this very question when you were thinking about starting to go shooting. Maybe you went out with a few friends, you shot a few pistols, and you weren't sure what you really wanted. Now, if you're like me right now, and you've been shooting for about 7 years, you probably get this question asked to you a lot by your fellow friends who want to start shooting. Especially if you work at a gun shop or a pawn shop, I'm sure you get this question all the time. But here is my take on the best starter handgun, or the best first handgun to buy. I've broken it up into 4 categories, and we'll start with kind of the use. When somebody comes up to me and says, what handgun should I get for my first one? The first question I ask them is, what are you going to use it for? So most people say when I ask them, what are you going to use it for? Well, pretty much a jack of all trades. I want to go to the range, but I want to be able to defend myself, and I want to maybe carry it in the future. Now that last one, carry it in the future, a lot of new shooters aren't even thinking right now about concealed carry. They're really just looking to get into shooting and see what it offers. But now I want to start off with the very first type of new shooter, and that would be a young new shooter. Somebody who's your child, your nephew, your niece, somebody who's just getting into shooting, and they're fairly young and recoil sensitive. So that is the first category I want to start with. Then we'll talk about new shooters who are a little bit older and can handle more recoil. So going through a lot of the guns that I thought about younger, newer shooters, what would be best, I ended up sticking with single action 22s or 22 Magnums. And I've got 2 of my favorites picked out for this category. And for each category, I'm going to give you a model that I would pick if money wasn't an option. And then if money is tight or you're on a budget, I'm going to give you a second backup option that will be almost just as good, but a little bit cheaper. To start off with, we're going to take a look at this Ruger Single 6. Now this is a single action 22, which means right now I'll show you guys that it's unloaded. You have to open up the gate. The cylinder doesn't pop out. You actually rotate it and load it. Then once you've loaded it, you can't pull the trigger and fire the gun. You have to cock the hammer each time to fire the pistol. So that is just an inherent safety feature for new shooters. So a lot of times they may shoot, swing around, and sweep people. Now hopefully you've instructed them not to do that, but if you're not around and they do that, they can't accidentally pull the trigger and fire. They have to cock the hammer each time. Plus that 22 cartridge is low on recoil, and this pistol is heavy, absorbing everything. So this is a perfect training aid to teach shooters just respect for a firearm, the dangers of a firearm, as well as basic overall function and safety rules. So this runs about $400 to $500 depending on where you buy a Ruger Single 6. They also offer conversion cylinders to make this shoot 22 Magnum, and this particular pistol came with that. But a lot of people don't have $400 or $500 to spend on a new gun, so that brings up the Heritage, the Rough Rider 22. Now this guy can be actively found for about $125 or under, so a very good price. Again, same features. You can't pull the trigger and let it fire. You have to cock the hammer each time. But this one actually has a safety. The only revolver I've ever seen with a safety. So I don't know if it's necessary, but again, an added safety bonus if you were training up new shooters. Same advantages and disadvantages apply to this revolver, but the price point is about $115 to $125. So the next 3 options I'm going to talk about are for older shooters who can handle substantial recoil. And now this is not insane recoil, but just a lot more than a 22. The first thing I want to start off with is talking a little bit about the first caliber you should buy. And I believe that's 9mm for a lot of new shooters. It's widely available. You can get really powerful plus P defensive hollow point loads, as well as cheap range plinking ammo. So when a new shooter goes to the range to buy ammo, they're not shocked by the price of some more higher caliber rounds. The 9mm can be easily found for about $10 for a box of 50, sometimes cheaper if you buy steel cased ammo. But again, this is not a caliber debate, it's more of a pistol debate. So my very first centerfire cartridge pistol that I would recommend would be a Glock 19. And that's not a shock to some if you guys have been looking and researching online. The Glock 19 is known for its incredible reliability. This thing is just a workhorse. It's utilitarian. It just works, and it doesn't have all the bells and whistles of some other pistols I'm going to show you in a moment. The biggest thing about a Glock 19 is that it's simple and it works. There's no safety to deal with. You literally insert a magazine, you rack the slide, and now the pistol is ready to go. Pull the trigger and it fires. The slide goes, fire again. There is no second strike capability since there is no hammer. It's a striker that's get cocked back and a sear releases it and the gun fires. So overall, a very reliable and simple pistol. The Glock 19 can be purchased for around $450 to $550 depending on which version you buy, whether the Gen 3, the Gen 4, or any aftermarket accessories. The Glock also disassembles very simply. You pull the slide back, pull these levers down, pull the trigger, and the slide comes off. To assemble, you just do in reverse order. Looking through the camera, it's a little bit difficult, but very simple pistol to operate, and it is really reliable. Also, you can get extended magazines for this, and aftermarket accessories are plentiful. So, pretty much my #1 pick for the first handgun in a 9mm. Moving on, a lot of guys don't have that $500 to spend, so next up on the list is the Canik Tp9 Sf. Now this is a beautiful pistol and I really like it. It's got a lot more features than the Glock 19, including this lever right here, which is a loaded chamber indicator. When there's a round in the chamber, this lever pops up and you can see it. It also has some really nice sights. Cocking serrations on the back are very aggressive. Now again, this one does not have a safety, but you really don't need it in a pistol like this. Now the trigger on this guy has got a smooth take up and a crisp break. The reset is short, audible, and tactile. And honestly, in my opinion, the trigger on this is better than the Glock. It's got interchangeable back straps, and it also comes with a holster in the box, so you do get a lot of accessories. But the best thing about this is it's about $325 when you can find it on sale. So a good high value option that's almost as good as a Glock, but I kind of just stick with the Glock because of its track record and history. But this is not a bad second choice. Next up on the list is a single action, double action pistol. And this is a hammer fired pistol. And let me show you what I mean for all you new shooters. If you haven't seen, a hammer fired pistol uses a hammer to actually fire the round. Now in a striker fired pistol, you don't have that. So this is a CZ75 Spl1 Tactical. One of my favorite single double action pistols ever made. Something like this is very impressive. Let's make sure it's clear one more time. So the way this operates is you insert a magazine, the hammer's down, you rack the slide and the hammer stays back. Now at this point it is in single action mode, so it has a very smooth take up and a crisp break. Then the action will cycle again, the hammer will come back and it will fire. The cool thing about the CZ75 Spl1 Tactical that I like is you can decock the firearm. The hammer is down and now you have a longer, harder double action pull while you actually move the hammer to fire the round. So this is a great option if you want to chamber around and carry the gun. You decock the firearm, so if you accidentally hit the trigger, you can see I'm actually pulling on it pretty hard. It's not going to fire until you make a complete pull. At that point, the subsequent rounds will be single action, allowing you really nice, accurate shots with a crisp trigger pull. The slide rides inside the frame on a CZ75, so it gives you a really low recoil. This thing is ergonomic, and this particular one comes with night sights. So just a packed full of features on a really nice gun. So something like this though runs about $550 to $600. So it's getting up there, but this is one of my favorite hammer-fired 9mm pistols of all time. The magazine holds 18 rounds, so you're not going to really be able to conceal carry this, but this is a great car gun, nightstand gun, or home defense gun. Now again, moving on to the next pistol. This is a CZ75 clone. This is made by Salzamars, imported by TR Imports, and I've recently done a review on this. And this is one of my favorite budget 9mm handguns. I do not think this gun can be beat for the money. It holds 15 to 16 rounds depending on the magazine. Again, all of the features being a single double action pistol, but this one, instead of having a decocker, once you cock the gun, you can't drop the hammer safely. So you put it on a safe and then it is unable to fire. That way you can carry this in single action only mode. So overall, a very nice pistol. This one has cocking serrations on the front and back, a loaded chamber indicator. You can look down and see if there's a round there. Adjustable sights, and again, I have full reviews on all of these firearms. But this is an amazing backup option if you can't afford the real CZ. This does almost as good for about $300, which is an impressive street price on a pistol like this. So overall, really excited about this budget 9. So those are my two options out of all the single double actions I would pick. I would first start off with the CZ75. some type of variant of that. And if you couldn't afford that, then I would try the CM9 Gen 2 by Salzermaz. Now we've circled all the way back around to revolvers again, and I saved this last because honestly I don't really recommend these for the first handguns, but there are some people out there this is a perfect first handgun for. Now I'm actually not going to go over really the pricing structure on a lot of these, but I will tell you the Smiths run about $400, and some cheaper versions of this revolver like this EAA go for about $300. This one's chambered in .38 Special, one's rated for plus P. This one's chambered in .357 Magnum. Now this is what I would recommend first, whether it be a Smith or an EAA, whatever you buy, a Ruger. This is more of a defensive style handgun for close up, more of a shorter nose or even a home defense gun. This holds 6 rounds of .357 Magnum. And now the reason why I would recommend a double single action revolver like this is the fact that it's simple. If you have somebody who's buying their first gun, you just know you're not going to train, you're not going to practice, and that's unfortunate, but a lot of people don't have the time. Single parents out there, a lot of people just need a defensive tool that's just going to work, a point and shoot type of gun for in their home or in their car. So I believe this is a great option. You just literally load 6 rounds in, you close the cylinder, and you pull the trigger. There is nothing to it. Now if you load a heavy .357 Magnum like this with .38 Special plus P, the recoil isn't that heavy. And if you cock the hammer each time, you can get accurate shots because the trigger is super light. Or in a panic scenario, smooth straight back trigger pulls allows you to just dump the cylinder. So a good option if you know you're not going to be practicing clearing malfunctions or drills for reloading. This would be pretty cool. So in summary, my first choice would be the Glock 19. This is a perfect size to if you ever wanted to conceal carry it, you could get an in the waistband holster and carry it like that. Its insane reliability, track record, and reasonable price point makes it a high value option that is darn near hard to beat. It's upgradable with new sights, triggers, extended magazines, and the Gen 4 has interchangeable back straps to fit your hand perfectly. You can put a threaded barrel on this if you ever get a suppressor in the future, and hopefully the HPA or some other law passes where suppressors are more accessible. This is just almost the perfect handgun in my opinion, and if I had to keep one 9mm pistol, it would be really hard to pass up a Glock 19, so a great option as my #1 choice. My second choice, a very close second choice, is the CZ75 Spl1 Tactical. The double single action with the decocker makes it nice to carry outside the waistband. Its size though does limit you on if you're ever going to conceal carry, it would be a little bit more difficult. The slide running in the frame makes this recoil less, and the trigger is nicer than the Glock. So you would be hard pressed to find a better single double action out there for the money. So I hope this video gives you some options when picking out your first handgun, whether it be a new younger shooter picking up a single action 22 or an older shooter who wants a personal defense weapon as well as a ranged pistol. I think a lot of these options are very good for that new shooter. Each one of these guns has an independent review on my channel and I can stand by them 100%. All of these I would trust my life to, other than the single action 22s. Those 6 carry guns work really well. So I will try to add a link in the description below for these pistols, but the best way to find the full reviews and the full information about these pistols is to search my channel, and you will find a plethora of information about each one of these as well as a full review. I'll also create a playlist of the best handguns for a new shooter in the playlist category, so go check that out and share that playlist. So thanks for watching guys, have a good one.